Welcome to Matters of the Heart, where you give us the matter of your heart, and we'll get to the heart of the matter. Now, here are your hosts, Renee and Jay Diamond. Hello, and welcome to Matters of the Heart. I am your host, Renee, and my co-host,
Jay Diamond.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. I'm excited.
Yeah, you sound excited. You.
I am. I'm excited because I love Matters of the Heart. I love talking about the topics and the issues that others are afraid to talk about.
Yeah.
And I love getting to the heart of these matters to help others, as we go along. And so joining us today, we also have a special guest with us on the podcast. And I am just super excited about having this guest with us on today because I know he's going to bring some awesome insight on this topic.
Bring noise, yeah.
I can't wait to get started here.
I can't wait. Hurry up, introduce.
Welcome, Mr. Troy, joining us all the way from ATL. How are you?
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, what's happening, man?
We are good, and we are ready to dive in to this topic on today. So, today's matter of the heart is dysfunctional families. I know. So don't everybody run in at one time.
Or run out.
I know we have a lot to say on this. And so, dysfunctional families. How do you know if you are part of a dysfunctional family? And what are the effects of living or growing up in a dysfunctional family? And how do we overcome the ideal of just brushing things off or passing things off as normal? We know something's not quite right, but still we think it's normal. So we go about our daily activities as if, okay, hey, everything's okay. Everything's good. Everybody's living. We see each other. We speak whenever we speak. We're good. Let's go. Let's keep it moving. How do we go beyond that and solve this issue?
Well, I'll start off by saying you have to first understand the word dysfunctional.
Absolutely.
Which means not operating normally or properly. So if your family isn't operating normally, so my question is, what is normally? What is a normal family? I don't think no one in America can really say they know what a normal family is, because 9 out of 10 families are dysfunctional.
Wow.
So I look at, when you say dysfunctional, I look at a family that really has internal problems. Internal problems that have rooted in, have been passed on and passed down. And where do you start looking for a dysfunctional family that is functioning inside the dysfunction?
Wow. So as you know, when these subjects come to me, my brain just go to smoking, and things just come at me kind of crazy.
Well, tell us what you got.
But so you asked the question, where do you start, right? Mm-hmm. And as we were riding, coming home, and there was an accident that we saw on the side of the road. And we were sitting there trying to figure out how this happened, right? Like, okay, well, this person must have been coming from this angle and was trying to cross over, and we're just trying to put it all together, okay? And so I look at a dysfunctional family as a big accident that happened.
Oh, goodness.
Stay with me. Wow. And so, when an accident is like really major and they end up going to court, they have to come back out to the scene where the accident happened. And sometimes they're measuring the distance from where one car was from the other car. They have to look at the skid marks where all that took place and kind of guesstimate how fast they were going and that kind of stuff. It's the same thing to me when you look at a dysfunctional family. You got to go back to the scene. You got to go back to figure out, where did it start? What happened?
Brilliant.
What happened? Okay, your turn, Troy.
That's a long way to go.
Oh, man. Man, let me try to get my energy to where you guys' energy is. That was brilliant. Because that's so true. I was sitting here thinking while you guys were saying, your pieces, should I bring this up or should I not? Because every time I talk to somebody, I always go back to slavery. I'm going to go back past slavery and talk about where they used to shoot spears at, throw spears at each other and bow and arrows and get right up on each other and, in order to win the war. Anxiety comes from a person experiencing a traumatic event in their life. Now, just think about how much trauma has taken place from as far back as you can think to now. And if we see ourselves as children of anxiety, it explains all the dysfunction. Because anxiety, although that's, just one word, is huge. It's huge. And we are only the result of what has taken place before us. So I'll say again, what you guys just said is brilliant. You're absolutely right. You have to go back to the beginning to understand where you are now.
Absolutely. Also, I think the number one thing, and this is something that, being raised up in a family, a religious family, strict rules and everything, and even with all of those things, being in place, communication, I think, is the biggest issue as to why we have dysfunction.
Absolutely.
Well,
because
I think in communication, just my little, understanding of communication is we're always told that we have to communicate, but nobody explains what communication actually is. We take courses for, become an accountant, become a this and this profession. We all should take a course in how to communicate.
Absolutely. Because it's one thing to be told, you have to learn we have to communicate. Communication is the key. And then it's another thing when you're trying to communicate and you're cut short in expressing yourself. You're cut short in answering or reacting to that. And then so the other person is quick to respond rather than to listen to what it is you have to say, which, of course, is a sign of poor communication.
Well, like Troy was saying inside of his conversation, anxiety. They get anxious to speak over you speaking. They get anxious to tell their story. They want to tell their part so bad they can't sit and wait. So in the mid-sentence of you saying what you got to say, but I remember and I want to say it, and a lot of part of dysfunctional families come from the misbehavior, the conflicts inside the family, the misbehavior, and sometimes the abuse of the children. Causes a dysfunctional family. And the abuse of the children abusing each other. So you have a lot of factors inside of dysfunction families, man. And I think that one of the things that happen is we grow up, but we don't grow up. Because we hold on to so much stuff.
That's good, yeah.
What makes us real dysfunctional.
Get older, but don't grow up.
Yeah, we get older, but we don't grow up. So we get dysfunctional because we're holding on to for years we hold, and every time we get at the table, we want to bring up that same subject. We talked about that 20 times before. So why are we still holding on? Because I didn't get a chance to say, but you were the only one talking.
Wow. And you know what? I mean, y'all keep bringing up all these good points. But I mean, are y'all getting awards or something for this stuff, man? So many good points, man, because all of that boils down to, in a sense, controlling emotions. But to learn how to control emotions, every wrong deed or good deed is brought about by how we feel, our emotions. So when someone is jumping out of turn, it's because of their emotions are boiling over on the inside. They have to say something about it. But in order to understand how to control, I call our personalities, our emotions, our superpowers. In every story of a superhero, they have powers that are out of control until they're taught how to control those powers. And the one thing that we have been missing for the longest is the education. We know how to feel. We know how to say what we feel. We know how to dance. We know how to move. We know how to shape. We know how to, create and express ourselves that way. But we've never been taught what all of that is.
Right.
A lot of us, most of us. So once we learn, it's the only part that is missing is the knowledge.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's move to this next point here with lack of intimacy. So can you imagine growing up in a home with your siblings and yet you never hear or you never say to your siblings, I love you? You're never allowed to show affection, towards one another. So it's just like we're just existing here together. And so sometimes I think some people think saying I love you makes you weak. But, if you don't grow up in a home where there's love and you're shown love, you receive love and you're able to give love in return, then as an adult, how do you learn to love? Growing up, how do you learn to love yourself first?
Well, I would say that when you're in a family that's like that the children grow up thinking it's normal to be that way. That you don't show love because mama don't show love or daddy don't show love. So, like a lot of times the male figure won't hug his sons or won't kiss his sons or that ain't manly, so they're not showing them any affection. So they grow up thinking, well, that ain't the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way we did it at home. So they become dysfunctional in that part.
So, okay, well, let's look at it from another angle then. Okay, you say when the father doesn't want to hug the male son or whatever, right? Because it's not manly. But then when that son goes out there and get a hug from a man, and that hug feels good, and now you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to go there, but I have to go there. And so now
there goes our award.
Because he was not able to release those emotions, he's
Bring
feeling
that red
something
phone over there.
He's feeling something. Am I right about it, Troy? I mean, let's just be honest here.
I think absolutely. I think that you have so many different scenarios of how that works out, because you could have someone who will love in spite of not getting love. So since they didn't get love, as a child, they say, well, I'm going to give my child, as much love as I can. And even though it may not come out right, the next, generation may get it right, because it's so many variables in what, it's a, the person's perspective of what love is, each person's perspective. Mm-hmm. So somebody may get money all the time. Like, well, my parent loved me. That's the kind of love I want.
Right.
And, others, they get hugs and things like that, but never get any money. Like, you never loved me because you never took care of me, or whatever the case. I think there's so many things, that can contribute to how a child perceives the love. But it's so important. You're absolutely still right. It's so important because it has a psychological effect on a child who doesn't receive love or attention. But hopefully the next generation, may not have gotten it, but the next generation will be someone that says, hey, because they didn't get it, I'll get it. I've seen people that will have a lot of kids because they only had one sibling, or will only have one, or child because they had so many. It just depends.
Wow.
So yes,
it's like you give a child too much candy because when you were growing up, they wouldn't give you no candy at all. So now you're giving your child just.
Well, I'm not going to beat my child because I got so many beatings. When I was a kid, and then it all has all different types of effects, man. And when you do step back and look at it, you'll see it's almost comical because we put a lot of stress on things and trying to do it the right way. You need to have confidence that you are doing it the right way. And if you didn't do it the right way, that you can still learn to do it a better way. Tomorrow, do it better.
True. And see, a lot of people will put the emphasis on, well, I'm not going to do this when I have kids. I'm not going to treat my kids this way. I'm not going to whip my child the way I was whipped or whatever. And so you end up not doing that. Mm-hmm. But then in turn, that child end up beating you. You understand? So who are you hurting?
Well, then you learn.
Then you learn.
But
you're going to learn today.
You're going to do it better. That's all it's about. It's always about tomorrow. Where am I today? So tomorrow I can do it better. It does not matter, because I guarantee you, where I am proficient in a particular area, I am so subpar in another area. So, to judge myself off of this area, that area, look, man, wherever you are today, be better tomorrow.
Right.
That's it.
That's good. One of the things I look at is that sometimes it starts with parents, where you've got one parent that's overly abusive and the other parent is codependent. So the codependent one makes the family a little dysfunctional because they won't stand up for themselves. And this parent is just beating up on everybody, and the kids looking at, well, mama, why you ain't speaking up? So now they're wondering, well, is this the way it's supposed to be? So they get dysfunctional, and then they get hostile, they get mad, they get upset. Now they grow up, they turn into men. Now they don't want nothing to do with dad because dad always bashed mama, and mama wouldn't say nothing. Now they're looking at mama crazy,
Wow.
Well, again, this fits right back into the principle we just, discussed was, most of us come from dysfunctional families, as you said earlier. For my experience, coming from a dysfunctional family made me want to understand human behavior more. So now, I'll teach that to my child, but she probably will have a dysfunctional family. But her child will have it's just like a crazy cycle that happens, man. Because to understand why one parent is abusive, they need to go sit on somebody's couch. The other parent being codependent, you need to go sit on someone else's couch. There are human behavior, elements to this that once it's understood, it dissolves all that angst.
Well, my question is, why are people afraid to get help for dysfunctions?
I would say majority of the time.
Stigma that was put on it.
Yeah, that as well. But then sometimes they don't know that it's a dysfunction.
Oh, they think it's normal.
It's normal.
It's normal. Oh, yeah. My grandmother did it. My great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother.
Well, not even knowing their history. It's just something that seems normal to them. Dysfunction is the new normal.
Yep.
That's a good one.
And it's been going on from the beginning. All of this confusion and how and why. Think about all the people who are veterans, who have experienced war, and who are coming back with PTSD, who are coming back with, challenges of adapting to quote unquote normal life. Those people have experienced something. And to not even understand, now they have children. So now their children are the results of a parent with PTSD. That has an effect. How long has that been going on? And education is what's going to help change that whole situation.
Wow.
I'm certainly hoping. If we get any reparations, I want education to be included in whatever reparations ever are ever given, if ever.
Yeah, you keep saying if ever. if ever.
Because something was taken away from us. They wouldn't allow us to read. They wouldn't allow our ancestors to write. And to think that didn't have a substantial effect on the descendant is to turn a blind eye again, purposefully, I believe. And you're creating a problem for yourself by doing that. Because what's better than an educated population where everybody's educated, or at least all those that want to be educated, and everybody's being productive in the society? That makes a more productive society. But when one is trying to hold the other one down, you're focused on the detriment on someone else, while other countries are together focusing on your detriment. But they just need to sit back and watch you implode from your greed. Now that's what I actually call evil, is you're so greedy that you're greedy to your own detriment. The United States will the greatest enemy of the United States is itself.
Right, indeed.
That's a dysfunctional family, the biggest dysfunctional family.
Yeah, it is.
And look at
the enemy is their inner me.
Look at the father.
Uh-oh. Let's go to this next point here. Unpredictability and fear. Now, this can occur in unstable households, be it financially unstable or emotionally unstable, which also causes low self-esteem issues. Some of the characteristics are influenced by strict or overly religious upbringings, which allow for no diversity for the family members.
Ooh.
You're not allowed to have your own beliefs or your own aspirations and interests. And for some, you may have been scared into thinking, like when you grow up and say you come from a family that was deep in, religion or in church or whatever. And so when you start thinking, so they say to the left, then your mind goes back to, your upbringing. And so now you say to yourself, I'm not supposed to think like that. I'm not supposed to be thinking to the right of the thing. I got to stay over here to the left side.
You're that elephant tied around that tree.
Yeah, so that it brings about a cycle that we are afraid to break because of that. You see, it's a stigmatism.
Mm-hmm. Well, stifled speech is always one of the things that causes dysfunctionality in a child, because the child is not, I would say, able to voice his opinion or question authority. You don't question dad or you don't question mom. Mom said it, dad said it, that's it, and the end of story. I hear no more about it.
Go ahead, Troy. You were going to say something.
I saw a guy who was a professor or something, and he said, think about this for a second. How can you have a 10-year-old Democrat or a 7-year-old Republican? How's that possible?
Oh, Lord.
They didn't determine that they were going to be Republican or Democrat at that early age. The parent, so goes the parent, so goes the child. As goes the parent, so goes the child. So they are teaching their child that this is the way of doing things. And it's not until we become independent of what we were told is to be that you'll really see life. That's how the other stuff begins to dissolve. All of these issues and arguing and back and forth, it's not until you can truly, truly see the other side and or become the other side. Egyptians have what's called a sacred masculine and sacred feminine. Now, if I explain to what that actually is, it might scare some people like, oh no, I can't be. But what they're talking about is energy, a masculine energy and a feminine energy. And here's how you can determine when they're showing that is when you see two left hands on an Egyptian pictorial. You see two left hands, that means it's a man who has obtained the sacred feminine, which means he's balanced on the inside. He has the masculine and the feminine. But it's just energy, not genitalia. We get that confused. So when you see it from that simple aspect that you have to have the balance of both energies, the rest of this stuff begins to just seem silly. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm not a black or a white. I'm not these things. I'm a being, and I'll be able to experience life in such more appreciative way when I'm not doing it from one side. Think about that. Whenever you label yourself, you trap yourself in the label that you put on yourself. You can't experience any other part of life other than the labels that you just put on yourself.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. I think that sometimes the denial of self causes a dysfunction in the family, because when I say a denial of self, that the parent denies the child the right to become their own. The parent determines, just like you said, the parent determines that they're a Democrat or Republican. So the child doesn't grow up saying, okay, I made the choice to be a Democrat or Republican or independent or whatever. I was born in this, I'm raised in this, I'm going to die in this. That's just like I'm born Baptist, I raised Baptist, I'm going to die Baptist. When were you born Baptist?
Isn't there a process that you're supposed to
Who told you?
Who told you? You know, and just like you said, religion is one of those things that hold us inside of a family becoming dysfunctional, because now you've got to go by the book. You've got to go by the book. Well, the book didn't tell me I need to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse. You said I need to be a doctor because you're a doctor. You said I need to be a Republican because you're a Republican. Mm-hmm. The book didn't say that, so how is it by the book?
Right.
You know, if Daddy wears tight blue jeans and a T-shirt, you need to wear tight blue jeans and a T-shirt. Don't come around here with them slacks hanging down and the shirt draping. We wear tight blue jeans and T-shirts around here, and we chaw on snuff.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
That's the funny thing about it is, again, to me, we're like all viruses, where that whatever you think and the way that you dress. You hear the story all the time. My dad was in the military. His dad was in the military. His dad was in the military. Or my dad was a doctor. His dad was a doctor. Or whatever the profession is. It's like they try to keep that line of that particular virus. That's what I call it, virus. Because anything outside of what that line does to that line is a threat.
Right.
So if you're like, oh, we're police officers. Well, we're a firefighter family over here. Because you already created an enemy, again, by those labels. When you label yourself as, this or that, you've already created an enemy or a position, because you're only seeing it from the details and not the big picture.
Yeah. And then you wind up with one of the children has been a doctor for 20 years and hated it. Mm-hmm. Just because his dad was, and hated it. And then all of a sudden he finds out that I love real estate. He jumps doing real estate and loves it.
Well, how many people he killed in the process?
Yeah. Well, scratch that from the record. Scratch that from the record.
Right. Or you have all the policemen go kill all the firemen because they want to be, it's all about the policemen. Now you have a police station catch on fire. Nobody's there to put it out.
Cause that's Jimmy Boy's family over there. Wow. We don't like Jimmy Boy's family.
A mess.
That's a real dysfunction.
This is interesting. I am really digging this conversation. I'm really enjoying this conversation, and even though our time is coming to an end, I want to give another example of a dysfunctional family. Now, for maybe the younger generation, they may have never heard of this movie, but you can pull it up. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Mommy Dearest.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow.
I don't think it gets any...
No, it doesn't.
She was a perfectionist.
Somebody lead us off in prayer.
When we act as these perfectionists and we put this on our kids, this type of pressure, we put unrealistic expectations on a child. If a child brings home a B, that's not good enough for you. B is not good enough. You have to have all A's.
Gonna beat you to death.
But I may not be able to make that A. You understand? It might be a high B. So what's the problem? I didn't bring home an F. I didn't bring home a D. And I'm sure when you were in school, you didn't make all A's. So why are you, why are you putting this on me, putting this pressure on me? It's bad enough I'm in school. Yeah. I got enough pressure as it is.
Well, two things they're putting on.
Sometimes it's not a learning deficiency. It's a teaching deficiency.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
One of the things, they're putting shame on them. Mm-hmm. And they're putting hypocrisy inside of it, because do as I say and not as I do. Because if you look back at mother didn't make A's and B's. I guarantee you she didn't make A's and B's. But now she's pressuring her child to be A's and B's and A's, and the child grow up distorted, crazy, retarded, can't find love because everything has to be perfected.
Yeah, no. This only causes the child to have a low self-esteem issue. You worried about your self-image and believing that you'll never be good enough.
Well, I say you're not worried about your self-image. You're worried about the self-image that the other person has designed for you. If you can keep up the facade,
that's your self-image.
Yeah. If you can keep up the facade,
that becomes an issue for you because you can't become who you want to become because you're trying to live up to this person that they're expecting you to be.
And you have some people that sit around all their lives and they say, "Well, what do you want to be?" I don't know. All their life, I don't know. Well, all I did was I lived for my family. I lived for my husband. Well, your husband left you. And your family's gone, your children are grown. What do you do? I don't know what to do because I'm so used to being with, it's like now you got.
You know what? Here's a good thing about what I hear in all of that about people. Here's a good thing about people, that everything that we do comes from a good place. It comes from wanting to do something good for ourselves. Now, 50% of the time is bad for someone else. But it comes from a good place. So, for example, you're trying to teach your child something, but the only way that you know how to communicate with that child is to yell at them, or whip them, or whatever it is, your means of communicating. You have a message to get across to that child. And if they're not getting it across, we take the anger out on, and we beat the object that is not conforming to what we told it to do, as opposed to finding out how to communicate differently with that child or that object so that they actually get it. So it's not just what I have to say, but I have to put it in the way that the person who is receiving it can understand it. Now, people call that sugarcoating, but what it really actually is this person learning another way of communicating. So you already know the way that you communicate, so you don't get credit for what you already do. That's easy. It's easy to be what you already are. Can you be something different? Can you learn a different way of communicating?
Wow.
Oh, you said a mouthful.
You did. So, before we end, I want to read 5 dysfunctional family roles.
Uh-oh.
And you can see which one you are.
If any of them hit you, just say ouch.
You don't have to tell us. Just look the other way and we won't know. Just keep looking straight ahead. So the first one, you have the enabler or caretaker. This person tries to keep the family going despite the presence of addiction and other dysfunctions in the family. Protects problem of family members from others and the consequences of their behavior. The next one is the scapegoat or troublemaker. The family member who breaks the rules, not only society's rules, but the rules laid down by their controlling parents. They become sick or weak, or they become angry and rebellious. Either way, their well-being is sacrificed to the needs of the family. The lost child or the quiet one. The family who never gets in trouble, but always keeps quiet and unobtrusive. They're an unusual amount of time alone. They spend an unusual amount of time alone, avoiding their family and its dysfunctional ways. Usually has poorer social skills than others in the family because they rarely practice interacting with others. The mascot. The mascot of the family breaks the tension by bringing humor or mischief into the family's everyday life. They're the fun one. I wonder who that one is. They keep very busy, lightening everyone's load, but tend to suffer when things slow down. And then you have the hero. An intense desire to succeed in life may cause this family member to suffer from stress-related illnesses. They are typically very good at covering up the dysfunction in the family and making their parents look normal. Okay.
Troy, any of those hit home? Just say ouch.
1, 2, and 4, 3, and 5. Is there a 7 in there?
Well, 5 and 4 is 9. Let's see. 5 and 4 is 9.
Go sit on someone's couch. Got problems.
And trust me, they exist in every family. I see myself in a couple of those, roles as well.
Yeah.
But dysfunctional family issues don't have to be. They may be lingering from, your childhood, But I think as you grow up, even though it's a lot to overcome, you can rise above it. I really think you can. And you just have to learn how to heal from it and then manage the lingering effects of that dysfunction.
Well, like I said,
that's where all the good stories come from.
Yeah. The dysfunctions.
Where we have excitement in stories if there were no dysfunction. Who wants a functional family? That's boring.
How do we know that? We've been living in dysfunction for so long.
Well, we're, like I said from the beginning, we're functioning inside of our dysfunction. We're functioning. Right. So it becomes normal. If Uncle Billy don't come over with his crazy ways, then we don't have nothing to talk about. You know, if Aunt Sarah don't come over with her alcoholic or drunk and cussing everybody out, we don't have nothing to talk about. You
right.
know?
True.
Man, all the news stations have seen a huge increase in revenue since Donald Trump became president.
The dysfunctional father.
What's the topic of this?
Dysfunctional
Dysfunction.
Don't get no better than that.
Yeah, boy, I tell you.
Wow. Dysfunctional families.
Man.
Okay, y'all. I think we got to the heart of the matter on this.
Now
it does not have to be a death sentence.
Now we need a heart transplant.
Wow. Thank you so much, Troy, for being with us on today. I really enjoyed
Thank y'all for inviting me again, man. Appreciate that.
No problem, man.
Wow. So until next time, y'all know when to catch us right here on Spreaker.com /I Am in Radio. We are here getting down to the heart of the matter with yours truly and Renee.
And J Diamond.
Until next time. Thank you for joining us on today's Matter of the Heart. We would love to hear from you. If you have a matter of the heart that you would like for us to discuss, send it to yourmattersoftheheart@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, and we value your input. Be sure to follow us on Spreaker so that you will be notified when a new podcast is uploaded. Until next time, as always, be blessed.